Hello students, welcome to this class on development of lateral surfaces of solids, unit 4 of elements of engineering drawing. Development is a 2D figure which on folding it back along its respective edges will give you the concerned solid. For example, if I take this figure and fold it back, I get the solid. Therefore, this is the development of the square prism, and remember these are the lateral faces and this is the bottom face and this is top face. By default in the curriculum we generally go for development of the lateral surfaces of the prism. This knowledge of development is very essential in sheet metal industry. For example, in storage tanks, oil refineries, piping industry, boilers, shipbuilding, it could be chimneys, hoppers and lot of things in aircraft industry also. In the typical components of development, we have applications like hopper. This is a rectangle hopper. You can see it's a frustum of a rectangular pyramid. Okay, and you have this is the development of a truncated cylinder. This is a simple application of development, a typical funnel. You know that it consists of a cone and a cylinder here. This is a frustum of a cone and a cylinder. Then we have some applications like elbow of circular cross section, which is used to connect two pipes at right angles, or it could be an elbow of square cross section like this. Also, a typical application of this is a funnel. So in all these applications you find the fundamental concepts of sheet metal are very important. Now let us try to look at the types of development that we need to address. The types of development we are going to look at here is one, we call it as parallel line method. This is applicable to prisms and cylinders. For example, if I take the development of the square prism, on opening it out about a particular edge, remember we are going to get this as the development. Here when I do the development, remember all of these edges are folding edges are parallel to each other. Therefore, this is called parallel line method. So what you need to do is draw the front view, and adjacent to the front view you just open out the solid. Remember these are the folding edges AA1, BB1, CC1, DD1, AA1, and this is nothing but the perimeter of the top view, means 4 times the side of the square prism. This is an example of parallel line method. And you also have developments of cylinder, which could be in a form like this. Generally this is a GI sheet. So this on development, if I take a cylinder in top view and then develop it, remember it will be a line is like this, and therefore this length of the development is nothing but the perimeter of top view, which is pi d, and this is the height of the cylinder. Remember there is no specific folding edges in case of cylinder. For convenience we try to divide this into certain number of parts. So this is for parallel line method. Second case is radial line method. And these are applicable to pyramids and cones. For example, if I try to take a hexagonal pyramid remember, if you think of a hexagonal, or this is a case of a hexagonal pyramid, when I do the development of this, it opens out like this, and this will be the development of this pyramid. Therefore, these lines are the radial lines, and it consists of number of triangles. Since it's a hexagonal pyramid, there are 6 triangles, and if it's a triangular pyramid, there will be only 3 triangles, so that when you fold it back, you are going to get the relevant object. Remember, in here, unlike the parallel line method, these are all radial lines, and therefore this method is called radial line method. The same is applicable to cones also. Same is applicable to cones also. For example, you think of this cone. When you open out the cone, it will be in a form of a sector of a circle. And remember, to draw the development of this, I need some radial lines to locate certain section points. And this theta is the angle subjected, and this is the length of the generator and not the vertical height of the cone. And this is nothing but the base perimeter, which is 2 pi r, where r is the radius of the base circle. Therefore, this method is called radial line method. Of course, we don't have in the curriculum the other 2 methods, which are triangulation method and this is applicable for transition pieces. Transition pieces are these members which connect one, say, regular circular to hexagon, or like that. 2 different types of cross section are to be connected in certain piping industry applications. And also there is approximate method, which is used for doubly curved surfaces like sphere. And remember, if a surface is doubly curved, it is not easy for you to develop it because there is curvature in this direction as well as this direction. This is an approximate method, and we don't have these 2 in our curriculum. So we are focusing mainly on parallel line method covering problems on prisms and cylinders, and 2 radial line method covering pyramids and cones within the scope of our syllabus. Now, before getting into the development, we would like to look at an important concept of sectioning of solids. See, section is a very, very important thing. See, if I try to cut an object in certain applications like this, for example, in cone, this is a 2 combination of a cone, inverted cone and a cone. Now, it is actually a cone cut at an angle. Therefore, when you cut in regular figures like pyramid, cones, prisms and cylinders, you need to look at what are called as section points. For that, first of all, let us try to understand the 2 types of cutting surfaces. If I take a cutting plane like this plane, remember, is perpendicular to VP and it is inclined to HP. Okay, so this is the cutting plane and this is the reference plane, and by convention we denote this cutting plane as 2 thick dashes at the end and alternatively short and long thin dash. Long, short, long, short, long, short, thin dash. This is the convention. Remember, this plane is perpendicular to VP, and therefore in front you are going to see this section plane, and this is called auxiliary inclined plane. Remember, auxiliary inclined plane is a plane perpendicular to VP and inclined to HP. On the other hand, there could be a section plane which is perpendicular to HP. So if it is perpendicular to HP and it is inclined to VP, that means in top view you can see it like this. Okay, this will give you the inclination with respect to vertical plane, and such a plane is called AVP. So IP is, remember, perpendicular to VP and inclined to HP, and this is in front view. So this is called the trace of the section plane. But if you look at a section plane perpendicular to HP, then 2 thick dashes at the end, alternately short, long, thin dash. Okay, and this one in top view. So if you write this in top view, remember this section plane is inclined to VP but perpendicular to HP. You can see this inclination with respect to vertical plane, and such a plane is called auxiliary vertical plane. Most of the problems that we are going to look at is the problem of an object cut with the help of an auxiliary inclined plane. Means whenever he says that a section plane is perpendicular to VP, remember you have to write the section plane on VP with that required inclination with HP. If the section plane is inclined to VP, then remember you will be given inclination with respect to VP, and on HP you have to draw the section plane. That's the second point that you need to understand. Now let us try to understand one more concept, what are called as, when you cut an object, you are going to create some section points. For example, if I take a square prism and cut it at an angle, see I am taking a square prism and it is cut at an angle. When you cut at an angle, remember these edges are cut. So when these edges are cut, you have a new point formed here, section point 1, section point 2, section point 3 and section point 4. It is very, very important for you people to locate these section points on the cut object. That's very, very important. Second point that you need to know is, if there are section planes at an angle, see if I take a section plane and cut it at an angle with two section planes intersecting at some point. See, this is an example of a section plane which is horizontal and another section plane cutting the remaining half portion of the object which is at an inclination. Remember, these two planes, section plane 1 and section plane 2, are perpendicular to VP. Therefore, you can see this as a section, as a line, the trace on VP. So this is an inclined trace, this is an horizontal trace. When you cut an object like this, what is important for you to notice is, this is basically a pentagon, but because it is cut at by two section planes, one like this and one like this, when you try to locate the section points, remember section point 1 here, then this edge, vertical edge is cut here, section point 2, vertical edge at C is cut here, and section point 3, vertical edge at D is cut here, which is section point 4. But what is important is, there is no edge here, but still there will be one section point formed here because of the intersection of two different section planes. See, when two section plane meets, remember you will have to take, whether there is an edge or not here, one section point in the front and one section point at the back. So this is the front section point and this is the back section point. So make it a point whenever two section planes are meeting each other on the object, there will be two section points formed, one in the front, visible one, and one at the back, which is invisible one. So keeping these fundamental points in mind, let us try to solve some problems here. To start with, I am taking a problem of a square prism of base side 30 mm and axis length 60 mm is resting on HP. In all the problems that you are going to solve, most of the times the object will be resting only on HP, very simple position. There is nothing like tilted condition, only it will be resting on HP. But what you need to be careful is, you need to look at whether this faces are parallel. Suppose if I keep it like this, now in this case, here this is top view, the rectangle face or one pair is perpendicular to VP and one set of rectangle face is parallel to VP. But it could be at some angle. You need to be careful about this. So in top view, you should see that each line of the square as a rectangle face, and the inclination with respect to VP can be clearly taken care of. Therefore, here you need to be careful about this condition with vertical faces being equally inclined to VP. So point number 1, it's a square prism and vertical face is equally inclined to VP. So step 1, you need to write XY line. Clearly write XY line, which is a thin continuous line. Whenever I am using white chalk, remember it is a thin continuous line and this is Y. This is step 1. Clearly mark the two planes VP and HP. So mark XY line, mark XY, mark VP and HP. This is step 1, part and parcel of every problem. Step 2 is to go to the top view And here you need to write the square prism of size 30 mm. So this is the point that you need to observe. Point number 2, it's a square prism of 30 mm side and with the vertical faces equally inclined. Therefore, you draw the square prism in top view of size 30 mm. Remember, don't make it continuous thick. It is a continuous thin line. I told you white chalk is for continuous thin line. And name these points. So suppose the top face of the prism is A, B, C and D. Invisible points are at the bottom is A1, B1, C1 and D1. Okay, and remember, it's very important for you to dimension this. This is a square of 30 mm. Therefore, square 30 is to be very important. You should not miss out any data being marked on the figure. Now, once you complete this front view, top view, you need to look at even axis position in some problems, and in this problem, axis is here. Okay, and now you need to concentrate on the front view. But before going to this, you should observe this important point. This line is a rectangle face and this line is a rectangle face. They are equally inclined, means they are at 45 degrees. This is also 45. This is also 45. Means all these rectangle faces are equally inclined to VP. Step 2. Take the projections from each of these vertical edges. That means projected from A1, DD1, CC1 and BB1. Locate these bottom points. So these bottom points are A1 at the bottom, B1 here at the bottom, C1 at the bottom, and invisible point behind B1 is D1. Then take the vertical height of the prism, which is given as 60 mm. So the height of the prism or length of the prism is 60 mm. So draw it for 60 mm height by continuous thin line. Don't make it dark because this object is going to be cut by some portion. So make it like this and complete this front view. Remember, this is a visible edge and I need to just make it thin right now. So corresponding front view is completed. Very important thing is you need to dimension this height as 60. So as far as the basic position of the object is concerned, we have completed it. Now he speaks of an inclined plane. See, it is cut by an inclined plane 60 degrees to HP and perpendicular to VP. Perpendicular to VP, I told you it is called auxiliary inclined plane. Therefore, in this problem, you need to look at drawing a section plane on VP because the section plane is perpendicular to VP. Now, where is it cut? It will be given in the problem. He says it is cut at a point on the axis at a distance of 45 mm from the base. So, from base, take 45 mm and locate this point on the axis. Then introduce the section plane at an angle of 60 degrees to HP. Very important point I want you to observe here is this is 60 degrees to HP. 60 degrees to HP means with XY line. Obviously, it means 30 degrees to axis. So you need to be very careful about the inclination given. Is it with respect to axis or is it with respect to HP? In this problem, it is with respect to HP. Therefore, draw this section plane alternatively long, short, thin dash, passing through a point on the axis at a height of 45 mm from the base. And by convention, I told you the two end dashes are thick. Okay, and this is a typical section convention where if I look from here, I can see the cut surface in true shape. Okay. Next, you need to go for developing the retained portion, the lower portion of the prism. Therefore, that has to be retained. So, whatever portion is retained, first you should make it dark. So, dark in the sense continuous thick, visible. Highlight all the visible edges of the prism. See, this is visible. This is visible, base is completely visible, it is visible, boundaries are always visible, and you have it up to this point. And you can observe in top view, A1 is still there, B1 is there, CD is there. That means the entire square face is visible in top view. So even you should make this dark or continuous thick. Next step is to identify the section points. Now you should know that when you move along the section plane like this, first you move along the visible edges. Identify the cut points. Remember, this section plane is cutting this object, this vertical edge A dash A1 dash at section point 1. So call this as 1 dash. Next, as you move along the section plane with all the visible edges, that is in the front side, you will be noticing that it is cutting this B1 dash B dash at section point 2. And when you go up further, remember this is C dash, and here of course there is D dash. When you go further, it next cuts the visible horizontal edge. The visible horizontal edge is C dash B dash, and therefore that is 3 dash. If you have any doubt, you project it down, you will notice that there are two edges coming out of this corner C. One is C to B, another one is C to D. So C to B is this one, and therefore this is corresponding section point 3, okay, on the top face. And now you start coming down on the section plane back, but on the invisible edges. So if you move like this, next, because there are two edges coming out from C, remember there is C to B one line and there is C to D one more line, and therefore you will have one more section point 4 dash here. As you come back further, behind B dash B1 dash, remember there is D dash D1 dash. Therefore there is going to be one more section point here, and this is 5 dash at this point. Remember, 5 dash is on D dash D1 dash, whereas 2 visible is on B dash B1 dash. And when you come back, there is only one vertical edge here, and that's the total number of section points. You will try to trace it in top view. 1 dash is on edge A dash, therefore this will be now visible. 1 will be at this point. Remember, you have removed A, and only A1 dash is available here in the top front view, therefore there is only A1, and 1 is the visible point now. Next, as you move here, you have removed this portion, means B is out, you are going to get this section point 2 here. And when you move further, on the visible edge CB at the top, you can find out section point 3, and here on CD at the top, remember there is section point 4, and back on vertical edge DD1 there is section point 5. Remember, D is completely removed, and therefore we have located all the section points in top view and front view. Some problems you need to adjust if you locate the section points in the front view, that itself is sufficient for the development. Now this is as far as the views of the object is concerned, that is top view and the final front view. Now this is a parallel line method. What is important is you have to cut open this prism either at edge A1 or BB1 or CC1 or DD1. Therefore, try to open it on a vertical edge. In all problems on prisms and cylinders, or even in pyramids and cone, try to open it about the shortest vertical or slant edge. In this case, this is the shortest one, so that I can just write this as now development part, this as A1, next it will go to B1, therefore this is A, this is B. On development we are writing capital letters. This is A1, this is B1, this is C1, this is D1, and should come back and merge at A. So when you fold it back, A1 and A1 will join. So correspondingly this is B, this is capital C at the top, this is capital D, and this is A. So that you can have the development which is a piece of rectangle whose height is equal to height of the prism, which is 60 mm, and length equal to the perimeter of top view. The perimeter of top view is 30 into 4, 30, 30, 30, 30. Therefore, the length of development is 120 millimeters, with each rectangle part of the development is going to be, side is 30, therefore this is 30. Now we have got the basic development, but if you want to get the development of the retained portion, I need to first identify the section points on the development. A very important point to note is, on development everything is in true length. So you should always shift only true lengths on the development, never shift any apparent length. Now if you try to look at section point 1 on the development, one is on vertical side AA1, which is in true length here. Therefore, I can directly project it here, get 1, and remember it is on AA1 as well as this last one, that is also AA1. Therefore, I get section point 1 on AA1 here as well as here, and folding back 1 and 1 will coincide. Now go to section point 2, and when you project it, remember section point 2 is on BB1, the visible one. Here on the development, if you project it here, you get this section point 2 on the development. Similarly, here I have the section point 5 also, but 5 is on DD1. Therefore, project this 5 onto DD1, you will get section point 5. So we have located 1, 2, 5 on the development. If you observe 3 and 4, 3 and 4 is on the inclined edges of the square prism. So if you look at the square prism, remember when I take a square prism and keep it like this, here at an angle, these edges, this is C and this is B and this is D. So when you look in front view, this length is not seen in true length. It is in apparent length. Therefore, I cannot shift it directly. You have to project it to top view. And you have got this in top view. So remember section point 3 is at the top edge and it is in true length. And therefore, from top view, I can shift these points. So here, if you look at the positions of 3 and 4, 3 and 4 is approximately at a distance of 12 mm. So you just measure this distance. This is at a distance of 12 mm here. So you measure this distance. This comes to as 12 mm. That means here also from D to 4 also this is 12 mm. So you find out this distance which is 12 mm in this problem. And now I need to locate this. So what you need to know is this is at a distance of 12 mm. 3 is a distance of 12 mm from 2. So from 2, take 12 mm and you locate this point because it is at this side. Therefore, I am in a position to locate 3. Remember, it is from B. Similarly, on this side, 4 is at a distance of 12 mm from D. So from here, 4 is at a distance of 12 mm from D, but it is between D and C. That's very, very important. It should be between D and C, and therefore I can locate this 4 here because 4 is at this level only. Now we have located all the section points on the development. You need to highlight only the retained portion. So let us try to focus on the boundaries. The entire base starting from A1 to A1 is still part of the retained portion. You make it dark. Now you can see A1 to 1 is visible. Therefore, sorry, it is in the retained portion. You need to make it. Then 1 to 2, one single straight line. 2 to 3, another straight line. It need not be continuous one. Then 3 to C and C to 4. then 4 to 5, another line 5 to 1 and 1 to A1. These are the boundaries of the development. But very important thing is, in all the prisms, the sheet metal operator has to bend it along these edges. So these are the folding lines. If you know the folding lines, he can bend it along this. Therefore, in development of prisms and even pyramids, you need to highlight the folding edges. Therefore, this is to be the folding line for edge BB1. This should be the folding line for CC1, and this should be the folding line for DD1. So this completes the development of problem number 1. So make it a point that the length of the development should be equal to the perimeter of top view. The height of the development is the height of the prism. All these vertical edges, A1, BB1 are all vertical lines, and therefore this is called parallel line method. That's the end of first problem. Now let us continue with the second problem, which is on pentagon prism. Remember, prisms are under parallel line method, and the problem states a pentagonal prism of 30 mm side of base and height 50 mm lies with base on HP such that one of the rectangle face is inclined at 40 degrees to VP. It is cut to the shape of a truncated pyramid with a truncated surface inclined at 30 degrees to axis so as to pass through a point on it 30 mm above base. Develop the truncated portion of the prism so as to produce one piece development. So this is a pentagon prism of 30 mm side. Let us draw a pentagon prism of 30 mm side. But very important thing is, he says its rectangle face is inclined at 40 degrees to VP. That's very, very important for you to observe. Rectangular face is inclined at 40 degrees to VP. Remember, in prism, in top view, each of the side of the polygon is a rectangle face. So let us try to write a pentagon prism of side 30 mm with one side making 40 degree with VP. So draw this 40 degree line, mark the required angle of 40 degree, take the size of the pentagon as 30 mm, complete this pentagon. I'm not making it dark in the first step. Remember, some portions could be removed, therefore don't make it continuous thick, it is continuous thin, and this is the pentagon with one of its sides at 40 degree. Remember, whenever you write pentagon, make it a point to observe that internal angles are 108 degree, because there is every possibility of you writing a pentagon with all sides equal, but all angles may not be equal, and then you will lose marks. Ensure that each and every side angle here is 108 degree. Let us name the points here, and point at the top is A, B, C, D and E. Remember, at the bottom obviously it will be A1, B1, C1, D1 and E1. Of course, part and parcel of every problem, you need to ensure that you also locate the axis. So this is the axis point. By joining the corner to the midpoint of the opposite side, you get this intersection point, and that is the axis point. O visible at the top and O1 invisible. So you complete this pentagon. I told you, ensure that all sides are equal and all angles are equal, and you dimension the side of pentagon, which is 30 mm here. Once you draw this, remember, it is a simple problem of a pentagon prism resting on base with one of the rectangle face inclined at 40 degree. Remember, this rectangle face is nothing but A to E to E1 to A1. That's a rectangle face, 4 points. Next, try to project these points onto the front view. Take projector from A1, take projector from BB1, take projector from CC1, take projector from DD1, and take projector from A1, take projector from axis O1. So locate this at the bottom. This is the base pentagon. Remember, the points are here. A1 dash. When you take the projector here, this is B1 dash. From here, this is C1 dash, and this is D1 dash. Remember, this is O1 dash, and this is invisible point E1 dash. So this is in bracket because it is behind. Now take the vertical height. The vertical height of the prism is 50 millimeters. So take 50 millimeters. So from A1 dash, a 50 millimeter line, write the boundaries. You know all these points at the top face now. Draw this. Now when you look from here, see, any view boundary lines always has to be visible. Therefore I directly made it continuous line. Now projector from BB1 means this is now the vertical edge, B1 dash, and therefore this is A dash, this is B dash. Coming further from C, if you take it, this is C1 dash, and therefore this is C1 dash, C dash here, and from D1 dash, when you take the projector up, you get D1 dash here. Sorry, D dash. The top face is without subscript, and E is here. This point is E dash. It is invisible in front. Next, you also locate axis points O1 dash, and this is O dash, and height of the prism is 50 millimeters. Now I just completed the front view, and now we have to look at the section plane and then make the retained portion visible, the convention of continuous thick line. It is cut to the shape of a truncated prism. It is not, it is truncated prism with a truncated surface inclined at 30 degrees to axis. See, truncation means an object cut with a cutting plane parallel, inclined to base. It's not parallel. There is two wordings, frustrum and truncated. So when I use the word truncated, remember it is cut at an angle and the section plane is perpendicular to VP. Therefore, it is an auxiliary inclined plane. Now, where is this section plane passing? He clearly says at a point 30 mm above the base. So locate a point on the axis. Remember, it should be on axis, not the edge. On axis, you locate this at a height of 30 mm from base, and this point is known to you now. Introduce a section plane here, like alternatively long and short, end dashes are thick. In between, long, short, long, short, long, short. This is the convention for section plane. And a point that you need to clearly understand here is the section plane is making 30 degrees to axis. Oversight, don't write it with respect to XY line. It should be with axis. Axis is this line. So with respect to this axis, the angle made by this section plane should be at an angle of 30 degree. Should be at an angle of 30 degree. So if by mistake, if you take this as 30 degree, you are making a grave mistake. Entire development is wrong. Therefore, be careful about the wordings, whether the section plane is inclined to HP or it is inclined to axis. The condition has to be clearly understood and applied onto the figure. Now, once you introduce the section plane, you can make the retained portion dark. So A1 dash is completely removed here. Therefore, from here, I need to just make this portion continuous thick. This DD1 vertical edge is still there. Up to here, it is still there. And CC1 is the visible edge completely retained, whereas BB1 is only up to this portion. And behind, edge EE1 is available only from here to here, but it is invisible. So equi-spaced, equi-sized dashes. So some people even would like to make this as a continuous thick line, but remember it's a convention for section plane. After this, the next step is to identify the section points. Remember, this vertical edge AA1 is totally removed because it is cutting the base here at some point location. Now at this base, remember there is A at the corner, A1 at the corner. A1 is connected to B1 and A1 is also connected to E1. That means if you have it, when you project it down, you should notice that there is going to be a section point here on A1 B1 and AB, and another section point here, it's on A1 B1 at the bottom, and another section point is at A1 E1. Therefore there are two section points here. It's not cutting a vertical edge, it is cutting the base. Base is a plane, and therefore two section points should come here. Therefore try to name the section points. As you start from this direction, all visible edges, section point 1 dash is on AB. So you clearly say this is 1, and in front of you this is 1 dash. Now as you move along this, you encounter a visible vertical edge, and therefore this is section point 2 dash. Move along the plane and look at the visible edges only. Don't bother about the invisible edges being cut here. You should move along this, and next you encounter CC1 is fully retained, DD1 is fully retained. That means after 2, it is going to cut the top face at this location. So how many, this is remember a pentagonal base. That means D is connected to, remember D is connected to E, and also C is connected to B. There are two section points. Okay, so project it down to have a clarity. If you project it down here, remember this is on the top face, therefore I would have got 1 here, section points. This is now, of course this is 2, and now this is 3. Remember 3 is on BC. So B to C is, there is an edge here, and you get section point 3 here, and therefore this is 3 dash visible. And now this is not cut at all, but when you come back, remember there is also edge connecting E to D here. There is E dash to D dash here. Therefore that is section point 4 dash, which is invisible in the front view, and that 4 is going to be here. So locate this in top view. It's very, very important for you to locate 4 in top view. And now as you come back, all the invisible edges, remember 4 itself is invisible, we have written it in bracket, and now a vertical edge E dash is at the back here, therefore it was invisible here, and you get one more section point, and that is 5 dash, which is invisible. And when you come back here, this is already in front edge, and when you come here, I told you this is base pentagon, and when you project it here, you already have a visible section point here, and there's one more invisible section point here, and this is 6, and therefore within bracket this is 6 dash. Remember 1 dash is in the front and 6 dash is at the back. So therefore after identifying the section point, you have to look at the development. Remember, the length of the development in parallel method is nothing but the perimeter of the top view. Each side is 30, therefore the length of the development should be 5 times 30 because it's a pentagon, and therefore this is 150 millimeters. And each side is of 30 mm, therefore there should be 5 rectangles of 30 mm. Therefore, draw this development here of a rectangle. Remember, this is a basic development of a prism, but any position of pentagon prism you would have got the same length only. But the problem is once you cut it, the angle at which you write this is very, very important, and therefore you will not be given marks if you make a mistake here in the position of the pentagonal prism. Next, locate the points. Now, whenever you want to do one-piece development, remember one-piece development means you are going to cut open the object when you try to do a development. So if I try to open it about some other edge, which is T here, suppose if I open it about D, remember you are cutting a D1 edge, but already this AA1 edge is removed. Therefore, it will become two-piece development. It should not happen. Therefore, it is very, very important for you to start the development from a removed vertical edge or the shortest vertical edge in the previous problem. So, the removed vertical edge is AA1. Therefore, start the development with here. So, call this as A1 and this is A. The next one is B, one here and B here. The next one is C1 and C. Then we have D1, D. Then I have E1, E and back A1. Remember, A1 should come and coincide with A1, A should go with A once you put the object back. So I have located the basic development. Now let us try to locate the section points. So on the development, so that you can highlight the retained portion. Now what is important for you is to locate section point 1 is on AB at the bottom. That means A1, B1. But that one is not in true length here. Remember, A1, this is not in true length here, but in top view it is in true length. Therefore, I should take this section point. Whenever any problems on prisms and cylinder, you get section points on the top face or the bottom face. You have to project it down to top view and then take the distance. Don't directly try to locate it. So here, you notice that from A to section point 1, there is a value of 21 mm if you measure it in this problem. So measure this value, you will get 21. So between A1 edge, vertical edge through A and B, I need to just locate a line at a distance of 21 millimeters from A. So go to vertical edge A1, take 21 millimeters here and you get this line. Therefore, this is now section point 1. Got it? Similarly, if you look at section point 6 at the bottom, that is on edge AE at the bottom. Remember, at the bottom is it is A1, E1. And if you measure the distance of 6 from a nearest known point, that is going to be around 10 mm. So measure this value of 10 mm. Remember, it is on AE at A1, E1 at the bottom, 10 mm from A1. So what you need to look at is from AE region, 10 mm. Remember, between A1, E1, 10 mm from A1. So take this 10 mm from A1. Between A1, E1, you locate this point, you will get section point 6. So I am repeating this step. Any section points on the top or bottom faces, you should not directly take those distances. You have to take it to top view and then take this distances correctly. Now, if you want to locate the next section points, 1 is over, go to 2. 2 is on vertical edge BB1. And remember, this is in true length. Therefore, directly project it. You get section point 2 on development here. Then 3 and 4, if you observe, is on the top face. Now this is not in true length. None of these edges are in true length here. So when you project it down, you could have located 3 and 4 here. So when you locate this distance 3 and 4 and measure the values of this, this is around 4.5 mm and 14 mm. So this is around 4.5 mm, means say 4 mm or 5 mm approximately, and this distance is around 14 mm. So I need to measure this from a known edge, either from E or from D. So if you take this 14 mm from D, so this is going to be 14 mm. Okay, so from D, when the measured value is around 14 mm, therefore try to transfer this 3 and section point 4. Remember, this is 4 mm value at the top level. Remember, 3 is between B and C. So between B and C, I should take this distance from CC1, because from CC1 at a distance of 4 mm I can locate 3. It is, remember, it is between C and B. So between C and B, take 4 mm here, and then locate section point 3 here. I am repeating this. Section point 3 is between CB. 4 mm from C. Section point is between CB. 4 mm from C. You get 3. Now when you go to 4 is at a distance of 14 mm from D, between DE. So between DE, take 14 mm, between DE 14 mm from D. If you measure this, you will have some other value which is 16 mm that approximately. Now from D I have shown it to be 14. Therefore take 14 mm and you get section point 4 here. Then come to the section point 5. It is on the vertical edge E1, which is invisible here. Project it to that on this vertical edge E1. You get section point 5. And thus we have located all the points. Of course, earlier itself I explained you. 6 is here. It is between A1, E1 at the bottom, 10 mm from A1. So A1, E1 at the bottom, 10 mm from A1. I have located 6 already. Now make the boundaries continuous thick. So from here, remember vertical edge A1 is removed. So it starts with 1. This is the base of the cut object, truncated one. Then 1 to 2 is, then you have 3 to 2. Remember, it is 2 different lines here. Then 3 to C, C to D, and D to 4. Then 4 to 5, 5 to 6. These are the boundaries of the sheet metal. And you have to know, identify the word folding edges also, because that's very, very important in prisms and pyramid. So vertical edge is there at B1, so make it folding edge. There is CC1, you need to make this vertical edge as the folding edge. You need to make this as the folding edge. And of course, there is a folding edge at E1. Don't make these lines, this just to locate 4, 3. They are construction lines. And that's how you have this portion completely removed. Remember, this should not be made continuously because it is removed. And by doing this, I am able to generate the development of this portion of the prism. Remember, vertical edge A1 is removed. If by mistake you cut it about DD1, then in the development you will have 2 pieces because you have cut it along DD1. Okay, but already this edge A1 is removed. Somewhere it comes like this. A is not there. A is somewhere here, and again your development starts in this region. And if you have started with D1, it ends at it is here, and that A is totally removed here, and therefore it is a 2-piece development. It is part 1 and part 2. That should not happen. Therefore, you always start the development from a removed vertical edge or the shortest vertical edge. That completes problem number 2. Problem number 3, it says a pentagonal prism of base sides 30 mm and height 40 mm is resting with its base on HP and base edge parallel to VP. The prism is cut as shown in the following front view. Draw the development of the lateral surface of the prism. So he has given you the front view here. So directly based on front view you can compile the top view. This is given. So first of all, you need to look at this pentagon of 20 mm side. So draw a pentagon of 20 mm side with rectangle face parallel to VP and nearer to VP. By keeping this rectangle face parallel and nearer to VP, remember this edge is visible. As per the drawing given here in front view, this is a visible edge. So I should not take it like this. if I had written the pentagon this way, then in this front view, if you write front view, this would have become invisible, means this should have become a dashed line, and therefore it's not correct to keep it the other way. Now therefore write the pentagon with one edge parallel. Remember, each side of the pentagon has to be of 20 mm side and included angle 108 degree everywhere. So whether you measure here or here or here, it should be 108 degrees only. Next, dimension the value of the pentagon side, which is 20 mm, and when you take the projector up, remember, you are going to get this view. But here, what you need to look at is the height of the pentagon is 40 mm. So this is 40 mm here. So take 40 mm from here. When you take the projector, of course, let us name the points here. Top is A, bottom is A1, B, B1, C, C1, this is D, D1, and E, E1, and of course the axis will come somewhere here, O, O1. So when you project it up, take the projector from C, and you can get this vertical edge for a height of 40 mm. This is 40. Then when you take the projector from here, remember, from 40 he says come down by 20 mm, come down by 15 mm, you get this point. And on this line, come down by 20 mm, you get this point. Therefore, you are in a position to complete the solid in front view to the scale. Okay. And when you look from here, BB1 is visible. Therefore, this is B1 dash, B dash. This is A1 dash, A dash, and this is C1 dash, C dash. And here, invisible here is D1 dash and D dash. Similarly, here E1 dash is invisible and E dash is also invisible. Therefore, because the section planes are clearly given here, you need to just make this as equispaced, equisized dashes, which is a convention for invisible edges. So therefore, we have completed the view. Make it a point to highlight these dimensions of 20, 15 and 40. Don't miss out these dimensions, marking of these dimensions. Now let us try to identify the section points of the object. Now as you move from one side to the other side on the visible edges, remember on this section plane when you move like this, you have section point 1 dash on vertical edge AA1 dash. Next you encounter, this is invisible, so don't mark it. Next you encounter a vertical edge BB1, and on that you get 2. So in top view and front view locate it. And when you move up along this plane, remember this is invisible and it passes through corner C, and that itself will be section point 3 dash for the purpose of naming. When you come back, you get the invisible edge at here. This is over, front portion is over. You are coming back like this. Now this is section point 4 dash, which is visible. Now as you come down here, there is only one vertical edge here, but still there will be 2 section points, because whenever 2 section planes meet, remember there will be 1 section point in the front and 1 section point in the back. I told you this is the pentagon in top view, and when I cut it with a plane like this, remember there is 1 section point cutting this vertical edge BB1 here, which is section point 2, but at the back, though there is no vertical edge, because it is 2 section planes in intersections, Remember, one at the front and one at the back, irrespective of there is a vertical edge or not. Therefore, you need to make it as an important observation. At the junction of two section planes, always there will be one section point in the front, whether there is an edge or not, and one section point at the back. Therefore, 5 dash will come, and next this is 6 dash, which is again invisible because it's on edge E1. Now let us start with the development of this. Let me start with A1 as a development, this cutting edge. So I have cut this prism in top view along edge, vertical edge A1. Therefore, mark this as A1. The next is B1, and the length of this is nothing but the side of the pentagon, which is 20 mm, and the length of the development is 5 times 20. Therefore, this is 100 mm. So you get A1, B1, C1, D1, E1, and back to A1. At the top, you have starting here A1, B1 is the vertical edge, C1, D1, E1, and A1. So the basic development of the pentagon prism is over. Let us try to identify the section points on the development. Section point 1 is on vertical edge A1. So it is A1 is in true length here. So directly project it here. You get section point here as 1 on the development, and here also it is 1 because it is edge A1. So starting and ending points are 1 and 1. Next, locate section point 2 on edge BB1. So you need to take this here and locate this on edge BB1, and this is section point 2. 3 is exactly at the corner, means on the vertical edge CC1. Exactly coincide at C is section point 3. Now coming back, section point 4 is on DD1, which is invisible here, of course. So when you project this onto DD1, you get section point here as 4. But section point 5 is not on any vertical edge. 2, if you look at here, is on the front vertical edge BB1. Whereas section point 5 is not on the vertical edge, but it is on the midpoint of this here. Therefore, you know that each side of the pentagon is 20 mm. I am looking at the face containing DE combination. So 20 mm from D or 20 mm from E, I can look at this line at 5. So between D, take half the value of side of hexagon, which is 20 means take 10 mm here, because that's on the midpoint. So now I have located this point in top view, but you have to come down by this side. Therefore, passing on this line here, this is an imaginary line. If I project phi onto this imaginary line passing to the midpoint of this rectangle, I am going to get section point 5. Remember, it is not on any vertical edge. And then 6 is on E1. So project this line from E1 onto this, you get 6. That's you are able to complete the location of section points on the development. Take the boundary A1 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and 6 to 1, 1 to A, concentrated on the boundary. All this base pentagon, A1 to B1 to C1 to D1 to E1 to A1. Then you look at the folding edges. This one, this is a folding edge, this is a folding edge, this is a folding edge. Remember, this is not an edge, don't make it dark. It's only for locating phi that we have drawn this line, and that way when you fold it back, you are going to get this particular development as shown here. This is cut with 2 section planes, a pentagonal problem. That completes problem number 3. We'll go up to the next problem, which is problem number 4. A pentagonal prism, 30 mm side of base and axis 60 mm, stands vertically with one of its rectangle faces parallel and nearer to VP. Two semicircular holes of diameter 40 mm is drilled through lateral surface such that the top face and base of the prism contains the flat portion of the semicircular hole. So it contains the flat portions of the semicircular hole, and their axis intersects the axis of the prism at right angles. Draw the development of the lateral surface of the prism, showing the true shape of the holes on it. So let us start with this problem. It's a pentagonal prism. Remember, resting on its base, rectangle face, one of the rectangle face is parallel and also nearer. So this is parallel rectangle face, and it is nearer to XY line, means nearer to VP. So draw this pentagon with rectangle face parallel. Remember, if you take it like this, I am repeating this point. If I try to take it this way, then rectangle face is parallel to VP but not nearer. That's very, very important. So here it is parallel and nearer to VP. Then name these points. Of course, the side of the pentagon is 30 mm. Name this: A at the top, A1 at the bottom, B at the top, B1 at the bottom, C at the top, C1 at the bottom, D, D1, and E, E1. Okay. Of course, axis somewhere here is midpoint, this line and intersection of this point. So this is O, O1. So of course, marking XY line VP HP is part and parcel of every problem. So mark XY VP and then write the top view. Now let us concentrate on the front view. So when you take the projector from A, from B, from C, from D, and from E, I get these lines, and the height of the prism is given as 60 mm. So take 60 mm and you get this block, rectangle block, which is the boundary of the pentagonal prism in front view. And as you know, from looking from here, BB1 is visible, therefore this line is visible, whereas at the back DD1 is invisible. So dashed lines. Here also it is dashed lines. And this is the front vertical edge DD1. But don't make it continuous thick, it is just continuous thin actually. Next, he says it is cut by two semicircular holes of diameter 40 mm, that's diameter is 40 mm, and the flat face of the semicircular hole coincides with the bottom and top face. So when you draw the semicircle with the diameter equal to 40 mm, two semicircular holes of diameter 40 mm, so this is 40 diameter. Introduce this semicircular hole. Remember, the semicircular hole has its axis perpendicular to VP. So since it is perpendicular to VP, the axis of the prism is vertical, the axis of the semicircular hole cylinder is horizontal, and they intersect at right angles. So identify these two semicircular holes. Remember, the flat surface of the semicircular hole should coincide with the top and bottom face. So the retained portion is this one. This is the retained part. Up to here it is retained. It is retained up to here, here, and here. This is the retained vertical edge. These portions are removed, and this is invisible vertical edge. Only this portion which is retained, you should make it thick. Visible is continuous, invisible is dashed. Now let us try to name the points also. This is A dash, A1 dash, then B dash, B1 dash, C1 dash, C dash, then here this point, so this one is D1 dash, D dash, and here is E1 dash, E dash. Let us first complete the development of this basic pentagon. So in top view, each, it's a pentagon of 30 mm side. Therefore, if you start with edge A, take 30 mm, okay, and draw this vertical line so that you get AA1, next you get B1, next you get C1, D1, E1 and EA1. Each side is 30 mm and therefore the total length is 30 into 5, which is 150 mm. So that you complete the basic development of the pentagonal prism. So 5 rectangles of 30 mm width and height is equal to the height of the object, which is 60 mm here. So I have got this point as B, this is C, this is D, this is E, and this is A. Next, let us try to locate the section points. Naming all the section points could be cumbersome. Let us try to locate the section points on one semicircular hole in the front side, and let us consider the semicircular hole on the front side, but it cuts here. No doubt it cuts the vertical edge here and here. But drawing these 3 points is not sufficient. Locating these 3 points is not sufficient. Remember, it is with BB1 as the edge. So here, with respect to this as the line of symmetry, on either side I should locate this set of points. And to do this, to get some more points to draw the curve, I need to draw lines at, say, divide the semicircle into 6 parts, that is, draw 30 degree, 60 degree line, 90 degree, 120, 150, you get these points. So obviously that is here also. So same thing repeats here, 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, it repeats there also. But if you locate it on one side, it is sufficient for you to trace, naming the points at one. So let us start naming the section points here. In the front point here, at this point is section point 1 dash. When you project it down, it comes on the front face, and this is 1. Next, this one is just an imaginary line. Remember, I need to just take it down and I get this as section point 2, which is 2 here. Then when I take it down, remember, I get section point 3 in top view and section point 3 dash in front view. Next, there is an edge here also, but remember it is on BB1 dash and section point 4 dash is found out. Next, section point 5 dash, and next section point 6 dash, and this is 7 dash. To avoid confusion, because these are all visible section points in the front face. So I'm just repeating that point only here. So here, if you try to take it, remember, this is 4, 5, 6 and 7. Okay, so let us try to look into the development of this, locating the section points on the development. You need to measure these values. So measure the distance from, if I'm doing it at A1, that also is valid at A. So whatever I measure here, I need to look at these distances. If you measure from A, section point 1 in top view, that is this distance, if you measure, this is going to be 5 mm approximately. But if you measure the section point 2 location, this part, remember this is approximately going to be 9 mm. And if you measure of section point 3 from here, it is going to be approximately 18 mm. And of course, this is 30 mm. Okay, by symmetry, same values are valid here also. See, what is A1 to 1 is same here, C1 to 7. So what is this is symmetrically here. What is this is symmetrically here. Therefore, if I mark it here, this 5, 9, 18, it is sufficient. Once I have to take it with respect to A, another time with respect to C at the top, A1 at bottom and C1 at the bottom. So let us try to locate these lines here. So stop from A1 vertical edge, I need to draw a 5 mm line. So from this distance from A1, remember it is between AB, so just draw this for a length of, identify this distance, mark this distance as 5 mm, and you get this line. And on this line, I have section point 1, and remember that 1 is at the top also. I am not naming it again, so let me call this as 1 itself. Otherwise, it will go up to 30, 40 section points. Next, you take up this distance to point 2 on AB is 9 mm. So 9 mm you take it from A1, take 9 mm line. This distance is 9 mm. And on this line, if I project 2, I would have got this section point here as well as here as section point 2 and 2 here corresponding. But the same thing is valid. This 9 mm from EA1 is same for from CC1 to get section point 6. But let me just also locate 7 here. 7 is at a between CB at the bottom as well as top at a distance of 5 mm. So this is also 5 mm. Therefore, from C towards B, if you take 5 mm, that is this distance is 5, I get this line, and this will give me section point 7 also. Same way, the way we got 2, this line is at a distance of 9 mm from A1. Same way, 6 is at 9 mm from CC1. So from CC1, take 9 mm and on that you project 6. You get this section point as 6. So 2 and 6 are at the same level. 1 and 7 are at the same level. Similarly, if you try to locate 3 is at a distance of 18 mm from A1. From A1, take 18 mm, that is this distance is 18 mm. Similarly, we can take 18 mm from CC1 also by symmetry, and I get this lines, and on that I should get 3 as well as 5. So locate on this projector from 3, I get 3, and if I continue here, I get 5 here on this 18 mm distance line. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and now 4 is on vertical edge BB. So directly transfer this onto vertical edge. That way you have located all the points. The same logic will give me these points here also on the same line, project it respectively here also, like this is the same points being projected. You get all these points, and remember this is on an inclined surface. When you open it out, it is no more a part of a circle, and this should be a smooth curve. Of course, there is a junction. Similarly, this should be a smooth curve, but this is on the rectangle face BB1 C1C, and this is on the rectangle face AA1 B1B. So you need to just draw the smooth curve. So the front portion of the pentagonal prism is completed, and this is retained, and this is the development. And of course the folding edge here is CC1. So I just focused deliberately on the front face and completed its development. But on the back face, the same semicircle is cutting from here to here. But it is on 3 rectangle faces. It is on AE set, ED set and DC set. A part of this, of course, this parallel rectangle. Therefore, let us try to locate the section points here. So I just located the section points on the front face. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I am on the back side. So here, let us try to take this as 8. This point is 8. Remember, it is invisible. So 8 dash is coinciding with 7 dash at the back. Then you have here 9, that is this one, coinciding with 6 dash is 9 dash. And a very important point here is this line has a vertical edge. So I am deliberately adding up one more point here, which is 10 dash. And then of course on this line at the back here, so remember 10 is here, and here is 11 coincide with 5 dash. So this is 11 in top view, and then 12 here at coinciding behind 4. So 12, it continues similarly. 13 here within bracket 13 dash, and then the vertical edge 14 dash, and then this line coinciding with 2 is 15 dash, and of course behind 1 dash is 16 dash. So it's, if you can trace it, map it mentally, it is easy for you to locate this rather than writing all the section points here also. So if you do it here, the same logic repeats here. Now let us try to focus on tracing these section points. Remember, it is, if I start from here, because I am moving from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remember 8, I need this distances of from one of the reference sites, which could be 14 and 22. So this distance, if you measure for 8, is 14 mm. And here you measure either from C or D is your choice, and this is approximately 22 mm. So that you have to measure it from drawing. Now try to locate them. Go to face containing CD set. So containing CD, that is C1 D1 here and CD here, at a distance of 14 mm from C, between CD. At a distance of 14 mm from C towards D, that is, if you take this distance as 14 mm, you would have got these section points, which are section points 8, see 7 is over here, 8, and by analogy, this side you have section point 16. So that will become 16 here. Remember, this distance should be again 14 mm. Next, when you try to look at the next set of section points, which is 9 here, of course this side it is 16 here, and here it is 15, and 14 is here on the invisible part. So 16 is located, 8 is located by symmetrical positioning. So now you can locate 9 and 15 symmetrically, but 9 is between CD at a distance of 22 mm from C. So from C towards D at a distance of 22 mm, if you take it, that means from here at a distance of 22 mm by symmetry, and when you project it here, I can easily get here, this is 22 mm line, so this is 9, and by symmetry this is 15. Next, if you proceed further, so 8, 9 is over, section point 10 is on the invisible edge DD1, so that is 10, you directly project it. So if you directly project it here on the edge, I get 10, and by symmetry this is 14. So those two are over. Let us come to this point here at the back, which is 12, and 12 is exactly between ED. So exactly between ED, if you measure the midpoint, here the distance is 30 mm, therefore if you take 15, I get this point and this point, but this is actually 12 here and 12 here. 11 is here, I forgot to highlight that point. So 11 is here. If you project it here, we get 11 and 11 here. So 11 here and 13 here. How do you look at 11? For example, if you project this down, say this is the invisible edge, so you measure this distance, and that distance will help you in locating this. So measure this distance, mark it here as well as mark it here. Okay. Mark this distance. Whatever the value is here, that is this value, has to be marked there. Therefore, you have located all the points 8 to 16. Same way you would have located all the points here. There is no point in writing all the section points for this. So just take the respective. 8 means here 8, 9 means this is 9, 10 means this is 10, 11, 12, like this you locate all the section points. Now, an important observation is when you take a front face and cut a circular hole, this on the development also it will be in true shape. But if it is an inclined face and you cut a semicircular hole and then you open the development, it will not be a part of the circle. Since you know that between E and D is a rectangle face parallel here, therefore between E and D, that is from here to here, remember this is still a same part of the circle, so directly draw with compass you can draw this here. All the section points will be on this. Okay, a clear cut demarcation here. Remember this is R, and similarly here also this is arc of a circle with radius equal to the midpoint. This is the radius of the semicircle, which is given in the problem as diameter 40, means this is R20. Remember this is R20. Only this portion of the arc and this portion of the arc, it is R20. But the remaining portion should be a smooth curve. So 8 to 9 to 10 is a smooth curve. 16, 14, 15, 16 is a smooth curve. Remember it is discontinuous here. Same logic. draw a smooth curve here, draw a smooth curve here, and this is discontinuous curve. Now the folding edges and the boundaries of this has to be made continuously. So up to here it is there. Remember, between 8 to 16, this portion is not at all there, it is removed. So don't make it dark. From 16 to A, this to A1, here and here, the vertical folding edges, that is the vertical folding edges is very, very important for you to look at too. So this is vertical folding edge, and this E1 is also a vertical folding edge. You need to highlight this and complete the problem. That completes simple problems using parallel method for prisms. Same logic has to be extended to cylinders, and of course then the radial line method for pyramids and cones. Thank you for the day.